another episode of the After Parties, Me the Jury segment. We are going to be recapping all that was Kouri Richins and leading up into the jury getting the case. Because last week the prosecution rested, and so did the defense without calling a single witness. And so we're going to talk about today how we got here. How did we get here? Anyway, I have a special guest with me this morning, and so we're going to bring her up and invite her in while we go over a few clips and talk about all that was Kouri Richins. So please give a warm welcome to my good friend Jen. I think she's almost ready to join us, so you guys be extra kind. I am going to get started and play our first clip. I'm going to start with day 8 and Crystal Bowman Carter, who was the estate planning attorney for Eric Richins. She was the one that leveled the big surprise that Kouri did not, in fact, own Eric's home. Let's welcome Jen, and then we're going to get started with this video. Hi, Janae.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
On your side of the world. I was just telling everyone that we're going to get started listening first to the estate planner, the attorney that he had for his estate planning. We're going to listen to a little bit of her testimony, and all of these things are important for the prosecution to prove Kouri's state of mind. It doesn't really prove anything, but finding out that she, in fact, doesn't own the house had to be a humdinger for her.
I'm excited
she would get that home along with the insurance money and part of his business. She thought that this was going to be a big payday. At least that's what the prosecution is saying. And so we're going to listen to her testimony. Just a few little clips from her testimony, not everything, because we only have but so much time. She was on the stand for quite the little while, so
okay.
We're not going to listen to everything, but we are going to listen to a little bit of it, and then we're going to listen to also we're going to check out Becky Lloyd's testimony, Chelsea Barney's testimony. That was on day 9. We're going to listen to Josh Grossman's testimony. He was Kouri's boyfriend or lover.
Oh.
And we're going to hear all about that. I'm going to go ahead and set that up too. She was taking care of him, okay? She was buying him trucks.
I assumed you meant in more than one way. Okay.
In more than one way. She was buying him trucks, and he was doing all the flips on the houses. In fact, apparently that's how they met. He worked with her on some flips that she had done in South Carolina. And then Mr. Grossman packed it on up and moved to Utah.
Oh.
He said to work for her. I say to be with her. I don't know. But he said it became romantic after he got to Utah.
No, it didn't.
I mean, South Carolina to Utah to do flips is without
because
any other job.
Right. She was the only one. She's the only one flipping houses in South Carolina. So he just had to follow her.
I don't know, but him and his dog drove cross country.
Wow.
Flip houses for Miss Kouri.
Flip Kouri. Okay.
We're gonna listen
I don't buy it either.
And his testimony starts off with a bang. So we're gonna start with Crystal Bowman Carter, and then we're gonna go right to Josh. And like I said, it'll be entertaining. Let me just let the video speak for itself.
Okay.
It'll be quite entertaining. All right, here we go. I need to get the chat off of here because nobody needs to see all of that. All right, here we go.
That he said.
Scott, if we could go to Article 8.01 of the trust.
Excuse me.
Describe for the jury, in layman's terms, what this section of the trust means as it pertains to Kouri Richins.
Okay. Might be a little wordy here. So on
Your best.
On Eric's death, this trust became irrevocable and sub-trusts were created. A trust for Kouri called the Q-tip trust that you see here at Article 8, and then the next trust is the Descendants Trust that was for the benefit of the kids. Because it was a Q-tip trust, the law requires that all of the income generated by the assets held in that share must be distributed to Kouri during her lifetime.
So did the trust provide for Kouri Richins' household expenses?
Not specifically, but the guidelines for distribution also provide that she's entitled to also access the principal through the trustee for her health, education, maintenance, and support. So yes, she was provided for, just not household expenses specifically.
And you mentioned that a trust is like a box that someone can put their assets into. What were some of the assets or the assets that went into Eric Richins' trust?
So the easiest thing we did was he signed an assignment of tangible personal property. So things that don't get titled anywhere, like your furniture, your jewelry, those collections. By signing that document, that transferred those things to the trust. I prepared a deed for him for the house that he owned in his name, and we transferred that asset to his trust. I think the house was on Willow Court. And then I prepared an assignment of interest in C&E Masonry that he signed later on in February. After the trust was built, then we could put the things in it, and he signed that in February of 2021. Put that in the trust, and also another LLC interest.
Scott, if we could go back to just the first page of 4-12, please. Even the title page for, yeah. So that document has a date on it. What's the significance of that date?
That's the date that Eric signed the trust, and for titling purposes, we include the date in the name of the trust.
And so, for all intents,
this date is important, guys, because this was after Miss Kouri signed his name and took out that $250,000 HELOC on his home. That's when he drew up the trust. And as you just heard her say, he wasn't trying to like cut Kouri out. He wanted to still take care of her and provide for her, and he did in the trust. Basically, he didn't trust her with the finances, and so he didn't want her to just be able to get everything and just do what she did, spend $1.5 million in 3 months. Because it seems to me, listening to this trial, that she kind of was a dreamer. She wanted to be like this millionaire, this superstar kind of person. Like she wanted to have it all. And so she wanted to like really blow up her business. And, you know, she needed money to do that. And I think she got in a little too deep. I'm going to finish letting this play a little longer. Then we're going to move to cross, but I'm going to let it
purposes, that's the effective date. That's when it becomes legally in effect.
That's when it becomes legally binding, yes.
If we could show the witness 4-14, please.
Scott, go ahead.
And if you could scroll through it so the witness can see the document. Do you recognize this document?
I do.
Did you prepare it as part of Eric Richins' estate plan?
Yes, it's the power of attorney that I prepared for him.
I'll move to admit 4-14.
No objection.
4-14 is admitted.
If you could explain, you mentioned that this is a durable power of attorney. What is a power of attorney?
It's a document that nominates an agent, somebody that you choose, to manage your property if you become incapacitated, or sometimes immediately.
And what effect did Eric Richins' power of attorney have on his estate plan, or who did he choose as his power of attorney?
I'm sure he chose Kouri Richins Benson.
Okay, if we could show the witness, I don't want you to look at anything just yet. If we could show the witness 4-13, please.
Kouri,
Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
What is it?
I'm scrolling through it. It's a draft revocation of a prior durable power of attorney.
Is this also a document that you prepared for Eric Richins?
Yes.
I'm going to move to admit 4-13.
No objection.
4-13 is admitted.
If we could publish 4-13 to the jury, please. So this was a document that you drafted as part of Eric Richins' estate plan, is that right?
Yes, I drafted it, and then you can see that there's the prior durable power of attorney is attached as an exhibit.
Okay.
I didn't draft the prior power of attorney.
Certainly. Was this document ever recorded?
This version of the revocation of durable power of attorney was never signed or recorded.
Do you know why?
Eric was concerned about the repercussions he would face if he told Kouri.
Object to hearsay, Your Honor.
That was my impression.
Pause. Please approach. Yeah, my apologies.
Yeah, they don't want her saying that Eric was scared of her. But that was my take on it. Like, he was
That's what I said.
concerned
Yes.
with the revocation, the repercussions of doing this. Like, he knew he needed to revoke her power of attorney, but he was afraid to do it because of what happened.
I mean, I'm feeling it. Look at her. She is. She sits over there like she is a little bit of a punk.
She is scary, man. This little lady is scary. We're gonna bring Lorenzo up to join us before I continue on. So welcome in, Lorenzo. Hopefully there he went. There he is. Hi, Lorenzo.
Morning, Lorenzo.
All right. We're gonna continue on. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because you got the gist. I just wanted you to get the gist of what her role was and what she was doing for Eric and what she was trying to put in place and why Kouri was not happy with this. I'm going to move forward to like the end of her cross. And I just want you to hear a little bit of how snappy this cross was, because it was pretty snappy.
Talked about with Ms. Shermanak. Could we please bring up 4-13? It's been admitted, Your Honor.
One moment.
Okay.
You can see that, Ms. Miller?
I can see it.
Okay. Go
All
ahead,
right.
Ms. Nestor.
And can we scroll down to the beginning of, or actually the very bottom of it, the date of the original one that they were contemplating revoking? And just to refresh, you mentioned on direct, this was actually never done. You actually never did revoke this power of attorney, correct?
Incorrect.
Okay, I'm sorry, I may have misunderstood you. I thought you said that you all ended up not revoking it.
No, I said we didn't sign this document.
You didn't sign it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I wanted to interrupt because Kouri's attorney, Miss Nestor, she was the picture of the saying loud and wrong. She would be so boldly wrong about things, and then she'd be like, oh, and just move on like she wasn't wrong. But over and over, she'd be thinking, oh, I got you on this. And then she goes up there and it's a big, like, nothing. It's much ado about nothing every time with this lady. It's like crazy. But anyway, so that's why I paused right there, because she said, no, I didn't say that.
I know what you're getting at. So in your durable power of attorney, you mentioned revoking all previous attorney powers of attorney, correct?
That's not what I was getting at, but that's correct.
Okay. But this particular document never got signed or filed or anything?
No, another revocation got signed apart from the durable power of attorney that he
That
signed.
wasn't what I
Okay.
was getting at.
And the date on this document that you all were contemplating revoking but didn't ever sign this document was May the 8th of 2013. Is that right?
That's what this document says.
So this is the power of attorney that all the parties were contemplating, saying this doesn't, you can't use this anymore, right? From now on.
This power of attorney was revoked, yes.
I'm trying to not use lawyer words. I'm trying to use like normal words, just so to make sure we're clear. So
Maybe these
revoke
people
just means
understand what
you can't use
revoke
it anymore, right?
Right. It's
Okay.
taken back. It's null and void.
Perfect. Thank you. That's what I was getting at. So, to your understanding, this power of attorney had not, there'd been no prior revocation filed on this power of attorney. In other words, it had been in place since May of 2013.
See, this is the thing. She thinks she's so smart. I'm trying not to use lawyer words. Revoked is a lawyer word. Just use the word, lady.
The word is layman term.
Right. I'm trying not to use lawyer words. Baby, the word is revoked. Everybody over there on that jury knows exactly what the definition of revoked is. And guess what? If they don't, they have Google and they can look it up. This is so ridiculous. Like, what she's doing right now is ridiculous.
You would think she wouldn't start stuff the way Kouri looks at everybody else. I would think she'd look at her lawyer that way too, and she wouldn't start stuff she can't
No,
finish.
I think Kouri enjoys this, that she gets up there and she's like really testy with the witnesses and she's a little fiery and spicy. I think Kouri enjoys that because Kouri be like this. I'm like,
But you can be spicy, but when you have to turn your spice back down to mild after, it doesn't really pan out for you, that I don't know
Exactly.
I don't know it helps her.
it does to me. It doesn't because one thing that I have been paying attention to when covering these cases is that if the jury doesn't like you, that's not good for your client.
Right.
It really isn't. If they cannot stand the attorney, if they feel like the attorney does too much or that the attorney is disrespectful in any way, they end up turning it on the client. Or if you're the prosecutor and they don't like you, then they don't trust you. So then they are more leaning toward the defense. So you have to be really careful when you're doing this kind of stuff and thinking that the jury is not smart enough to pick up what you're putting down. Like we see you, lady. We see you.
Yeah, because if I'm watching you, or if I'm up there and I'm part of the jury and I'm thinking, oh, she's coming up here getting ready to lower the boom, and then it fizzles out.
It's a little sparkle.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Lorenzo.
he ends up invoking a bad response from whoever it is she's examining because she wants to make it seem like you're stupid. I'm going to say this like you're dumb. So now that's why the lady's responding like, well, that's what it says on the document, because
Right.
she's tired of her. And nobody wants to hear that.
The other thing is that some of this worked with other witnesses, especially Carmen and Robbie, the dealer and the buyer in this transaction. Mandy says she's subtly calling everyone in the room dumb, and she is. But some of this lawyering worked for those type of witnesses. But this doesn't work with other attorneys because they know what you're doing and they're experienced being on the stand and having to testify. If the people that are experienced testifying do a much better job on the stands because they know what they can say, they know what they can't say, they know that they should clear up their points, they know that they should finish their thought and not be all over the place. So it's really hard to play these kind of games with another lawyer, which is why I don't know why she's doing this. Like, I don't get it. Mandy says, low key, that was a jab. Who doesn't know the word revoke? And that's exactly my point. I'm going to play a little more of this exchange, and then we're going to get to Josh's testimony, which is, I promise you, it's what we all came here for.
Right, but circumstances changed and he wanted to revoke it.
Sure. Anybody can revoke a power of attorney anytime they want, right?
Correct.
But he hadn't done that up until now, till he saw you in 2020.
That is my understanding. He may have gone to someone else, but this is the first time I learned of it.
Okay, thank you. You can take that down. Do you remember being interviewed by law enforcement within about a year or so after Eric passed?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were interviewed by law enforcement, do you recall telling them that it stuck out in your mind how kind Eric was about Kouri
Into this.
using that power of attorney in a way that he didn't like, right? Do you remember that?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for hearsay.
That's her own statement, Your Honor.
Which is why it's a problem that it's coming in through you.
Well, I'll lay a little more foundation.
Assistant.
Was it your understanding that the goal of revoking this power of attorney that had existed before was that Kouri couldn't be trusted to utilize it well?
Yes.
And why couldn't she be trusted to utilize it well?
Because
Why would you be the one to bring this out? You're supposed to be defending her. Why would you bring this up? But I love it because listen to Miss Bowman Carter's answer.
she had stolen she had misused it to take $250,000 out in his name, and he did not like that.
Totally fair. And isn't it also true that it was your understanding that Kouri's business acumen or business skills were less than fantastic because she was young and inexperienced?
I have no personal knowledge about Kouri's business acumen and skills.
Did you make that statement in your prior interview to the police?
I repeated what Eric told me about her business acumen and skills.
Okay, and what was your understanding of that?
I had no understanding of her business acumen and skills.
But what'd you tell the police?
I told the police what Eric told me.
Which was what?
That she was misusing the power of attorney, that I wanted to include stronger language in his estate plan, more protective. I was surprised that he was willing to. He said that she's the mother of my children. I know that she made mistakes. She needs some more experience. For now, I'm going to do what I'm doing.
Great, thank you. Was there also, when you decided to add the house to the trust, did you do any investigation into whether Mrs. Richins had been contributing to the mortgage throughout the marriage?
I did not. Wasn't relevant.
Okay. When you said that all of Mr. Richins' personal property was poured into the trust. Did you do any investigation into whose funds purchased all that personal property?
It wouldn't matter if it was gifts, but no, I didn't.
So, for example, the furniture in the living room, do you know whether Kouri purchased it with her money or Eric purchased it with his money or it was joint money? Do you even know?
No, how could I know?
Okay. And you made no effort to find out?
The assignment that Eric signed transferred his personal property.
Right.
If
So you took his word for what was his personal property as opposed to what was hers?
I didn't have to take his word, he was only transferring what was his personal property.
Okay. And did he give you an inventory of what that personal property was?
No.
Okay, so you didn't know.
Well, there's a worksheet and he listed some things, like his guns, but he didn't prepare a very specific inventory. I just prepared an assignment that he signed, transferring all of his personal property to his trust, as is customary.
So that would ultimately be decided probably by the trustee, whether when she was trying to divvy up the proceedings as required under the trust, whether that couch was bought by Kouri or that couch was bought by Eric.
That's likely.
And you didn't give any guidance to that in the trust, the document itself.
What are you asking?
Was it listed in the trust, each and every item that was considered Eric's personal property?
No, it was just all of my household furnishings in effect.
Okay. You said all the household furnishings were his personal property?
No, I said all of my household furnishings and effects, meaning all of Eric's household furnishings and effects.
Gotcha. Okay. You also, in the trust documents that you drafted, it's pretty common that you do what's something called a statement of intent, right?
No, it's not common at all.
So it's unusual that you did that.
Yes.
Katie, can you pull up 412, page
Ladies, it's embarrassing.
1-2, section 103? This is in, Your Honor. If we could publish.
Tom, and no, it's not.
There you go.
And can you blow up the statement of my intent? So this is the part you said is unusual for you to do.
I mean, it's not unusual to, trusts will have them, but for me, I typically don't include one unless there's a reason.
So did you have a reason for including this?
Yes.
Okay. And I assume it was something the client wanted?
Yes.
Okay. And the language in here states that the intent of the trust is to provide for both Mrs. Richins and the children throughout their lifetime, right?
Right, we revised that the day of signing.
Great. You can take that down. Did there come a time, you mentioned that it was your understanding that Mr. Richins did not want you to communicate with him directly, right?
By email directly.
Right. And is that because he and his wife shared an email account?
I don't know. It was E. Richins, I think. I don't think they shared an email account. I don't know.
Okay. So you just don't know.
It was not because they shared an email. What he told me was not because they shared an email account. It was because she snooped in his email.
Okay.
That's
So she had access to his email at least.
I don't know. That's what he told me.
Okay. And were you aware at that time that he was consulting a divorce attorney?
Yes.
All right. So when you previously said it's very unusual to not put your spouse as a trustee, if the individual was considering divorce, that wouldn't be unusual to put someone other than your spouse, would it?
No, that wouldn't be unusual.
Okay. And was there a time where you accidentally did notify Kouri of something?
Yes.
Explain that, please.
Kouri Richins, K. Richins, and Katie Richins Benson. Very similar names.
Sure.
After I spoke to Kouri on the phone, I sent an email to Katie, I thought, which actually got sent to Kouri.
Okay. And in that email, do you remember the date of that?
It was probably March 4th, the same day that I talked to, it may have been March 5th, but I think it was March 4th, 2022.
Right.
The same day I talked to Kouri.
And just talking about that conversation you had with Kouri, so this is less than 48 hours after her husband has died, right? Give or take.
Yes.
And your purpose of your conversation Was that Katie Benson Richins' request?
No, it was the police's request.
Okay. And what you told her before she got very, very upset was the house that you live in is not yours.
I told her that she did not have title to the house.
Okay.
Of course.
So basically, you're telling a new widow that she's also about to be homeless?
No, not at all. That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Did you tell her there was any other homes provided for her by Eric waiting on her somewhere?
No, but I told her that he had that she would not be kicked out of the house, that she could continue to live there, and that he had provided for her in his estate plan.
Okay.
They're trying to make this thing so bad, and the man was generous.
If I understand your previous testimony correctly, you never...
I think what is angering me about this attorney is that even though his wife stole $250,000 out of his home, he still wanted to provide for her. He was still being very generous. He just didn't want her to have control of it because she didn't make good financial decisions. And they're trying to make what he did like this evil thing. He was making sure that she couldn't just sell off everything and the kids be without. And it's a good thing he did, because she spent $1.5 million in 3 months. Like, where's the... I cannot imagine spending $1.5 million in 3 months.
But everything that they do to make it look bad on his part makes her look worse.
Makes
They're
her look
working
worse.
for the prosecution.
I don't even... I think I probably would not have had very many questions for it. It always felt like to me throughout this trial, the defense would get up there and they would make some really good points that would make you be like, oh, well, maybe it wasn't so bad. But then they just keep going until they ask 1 or 2 questions too many, and now the whole house of cards come tumbling down, and it's get right back to, yes, she did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of where I was. I mean, granted, I had watched a lot of pretrial stuff on this, and I listened to a lot of podcasts about this prior to the trial. So I had a pretty good sense of what the prosecution was alleging. And I kind of was like, yes, she probably did it, right? But I was still like, well, show me that she did it. And personally, the prosecution's case was not as strong as I thought it would be. It's a lot of circumstantial evidence. They don't have they don't have the smoking gun. They don't have like this big aha moment. They don't have any of that. It's all these little pieces together that make this puzzle. And I'm still at, she did it, right? But I honestly believe that the defense did not do her any favors. They really didn't. They would start off like with this really great line of questioning where you're kind of like, oh, well, maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was. And then somewhere along the line, it would just go. These people, the attorneys, I probably wouldn't have really asked them too much or nothing, because she didn't need to, but she did. And there you have it. So I'm going to move on. We're going to get to Josh Grossman, who was Kouri's boyfriend. And as I said, she was taking pretty good care of him. She bought him like 2 trucks. He was working for her doing flips. They first started doing flips together in South Carolina, and then he moved to Utah from South Carolina, he and his dog, to continue to work for Kouri. But they said that they did not become romantic until they got to Utah. So I don't know what she promised him to make him move across the country to flip some houses. But I mean, there you have it. That's what happened. She was He was living in the houses while he was flipping them. So he pretty much had free room and board. And I believe after Eric passed, she gave him like a lump sum of $25,000. But we're going to listen to the opening of his testimony, which is the most important part. Okay. That is the part that was like, what is going on in the world? So let's listen up together. That is Mr. Grossman right there. Oh, Joshy baby.
Mr. Grossman, good afternoon. If you'd step in front of Brittany, we'll get you sworn in.
Listen to this.
Will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter before the court to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, subject to the pains and penalties of perjury?
Sir, do you swear to tell the whole truth under the pains and penalties of perjury, yes or no?
I won't lie. I'll tell as much in this setting. I assume all the answers, but not honest.
Stand right there for
I won't lie. I'll tell as much of the truth as I can. And look at Kouri's face. Look at her.
Well,
Look at her.
well, since when does that have to be explained?
He said, what do you mean by the whole truth? When I heard this, y'all, I was like, what? I was in here screaming. I was like, what is about to happen?
Oh my gosh. Kouri
I
did
don't
number on him, didn't
understand.
she?
I don't recall.
I do not recall. Baby, she did. Look at her face. Baby, she did a number on this man because he said, what you mean? Tell the whole truth.
Right.
I ain't telling y'all nothing. That's my baby boo. Okay, I'm a continue because the judge was annoyed. He was like, sir.
Yeah, you could hear that.
And he's about to clear the courtroom right now. Here we go.
Oh boy.
a moment, if you don't mind. Can I invite you folks to take a walk for a moment? Please rise for the jury. Just pause for a moment.
This is not avoid the deer. This is avoid the room.
Have a seat for me, if you don't mind. Mr. Grossman, do you understand the difference between what's true and what's not true?
I do.
Do you promise, under the pains and penalties of perjury, to tell the truth when you're asked questions?
Absolutely.
Anything further, Mr. Bloodworth?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Lewis?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Would you bring
Why?
the truth back?
Why? Why?
Well, since you put it that way,
He wasted all
Your
his
Honor, an
time.
instruction
Right,
that he's
Lorenzo.
taken enough.
I'll make it clear.
The other thing is that I think Kouri forgot that the jury can see you.
So that you're not surprised, I'll just ask you to confirm that you've sworn to tell the truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What do you mean, tell the truth? I should not tell the truth. Oh, it's so ridiculous. Okay, let's move on.
Didn't trade it in. Gave it to her mother. Yeah.
Did, sir, there come a time when your relationship turned romantic?
Yes.
About when?
Same time, just before driving to Utah.
So right about the outset of COVID.
Right.
Scott, can I get Exhibit 3-1, please?
They're gonna put up a bunch of their
The witness has it.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's been admitted. Can we publish
we're
it?
not gonna go over all of these.
Scott, can you zoom in on the top portion? Thank you. Mr. Grossman, do you recognize that document before you?
I mean, I know what it's alluding to.
Alluding to.
I know of it. Yes, sir.
Okay. So Kouri booked a vacation for him and her April the 29th, 2022, a little over a month after Eric's passing. They were going to jet off to some romantic vacation together. The grieving widow.
Seeing this person and knowing and I get a vibe from him in the first place, but the fact that he had to have it explained what telling the whole truth means, yet he used the word alluding is wild to me.
So all through his testimony, he used a lot of big words. This is a smart guy, a really smart guy, actually. He seemed like he a little rough around the edges, but still a smart guy. We like those kind of guys. You got a little rough, but you can have a conversation with anybody. You like a guy like that. That's the vibe I got from him. He's also someone who wears his heart on his sleeve. He cries a lot during his testimony. He absolutely did not. James says, I'm going to put this up here. James says he did the poisoning. I don't believe that for 1 second. He even was crying. Even his text messages to her when she said Eric passed away this morning, he was devastated. He was like, what? He was like, I knew him to be a great father. Yes, I was running around with his woman, but Kouri always said she wouldn't leave him because of the kids and da-da-da-da-da. Like, he said he was shocked that Eric passed. I don't think he knew anything about this. But he also talks about a conversation that the two of them had where he was formerly in the military. And Kouri asked him if he ever killed anyone. And when he said yes, she said, how did it make you feel? And this was shortly before Eric's passing. They text a lot because, she was married, right? So there's a lot of text messages. We're not going to go through all of them, but I'm gonna forward it a little bit because I want y'all to see how broken up. They had to take several breaks during his testimony because he was crying and boo-hooing a lot.
Oh, wow.
This is an example of all the texting that they was doing. Look how paragraphs, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Paragraphs. Wait, is this? Look at this. He was just sending her little gifts and everything. Okay, he loved her. What's for dinner? What y'all doing tonight? Look at him shaking. He loved that girl. Maybe he was broken up. I believe that's Eric's father back there.
I was just going to say, who is that?
Sir, is that an accurate depiction of a February the 14th, 2022 text exchange between you and Ms. Richins?
It is.
Your Honor, the State moves 2-27
on Valentine's Day.
D into evidence and to publish.
No objection.
227D is admitted. One moment. There you are.
Imagine thinking that this man works for your wife, but he really is working over.
I was going to say, and was working your wife. Yeah.
It's working over. Sometimes he worked under her.
She had a separate phone that was like the phone she communicated with him. I think she had like 3 phones. one for business, one for him, and one for everybody else.
What's under your wife?
Okay, this is him so broken up. They have to take a break. I know a lot of times the time we spent together was somewhat of a cloud hanging overhead. I really look forward to quality time with you that isn't rushed and doesn't have a goodbye lurking around the corner. I've been in the truck running errands, or I would have texted you 10 times. But look at him! Look at him! Look at him! Baby, this was 4 years ago. He is still crying.
Maybe
Hold
on, maybe
down.
he's truly one of those guys, like he was all about it when he was sneaking around, but now that he's gone, he's like, well, that's not going to be any fun to me. What in the world?
So in the beginning of his testimony, he said he was kind of like a lover boy. When he falls really hard, really fast, and he's like all in. And so, I'm not surprised that there are some emotions that will come up, but for him to be this broken up, let me tell you something. If I'm his girlfriend today and he took his tail down there to the courthouse and was boo-hooing like that, he'd be single when he leaves. What you was crying like that? They had to take several breaks because Mr. Grossman could not do himself.
Take a deep break, ladies and gentlemen. Deep break.
And they don't like all of this emotion in front of the jury because it could change.
Sir, would you like to take a break?
Mr. Grossman, level with me. Do you need a minute or two?
I don't know what I need.
Let's just start with that. Why don't we take
Ken.
pause for
Yes.
a moment, sir.
Remember when we were
Let's take a
talking,
5-minute
was it
break,
last week
please.
we were
Please
talking
rise for the
about
jury.
Potentially he was having like he was fooling around with men, talking about Eric.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's what's going on here. That's who he's fooling around with.
Oh my God!
Well,
That's why he's so broken up.
This is not the opinion of me, the jury.
well, in my opinion, she just got to it first because I was going to say he was using Eric or using her to get to Eric is what I was going to say earlier. And then Eric died. It's like, no, it's
No, not my baby.
You
God,
can be a guy who wears your heart on your sleeve, but normally you wouldn't. I mean, what part are you actually broken up over? That Eric passed away, or that
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. It's a
Well,
thought.
maybe you're on to something. I don't know if I subscribe to that theory, but I mean, stranger things have happened. Stranger things.
We can feel your life, but don't die.
So I'm just gonna kind of leave it here with him. He was, of course, an important witness for the prosecution simply because she was having an affair. This is like one more thing that goes to motive, right? She's having this love affair for years with this guy. She's asking him about unaliving people and how it makes you feel. He also goes on to say that they did end up breaking up even before she was arrested. I think by September or so is when they broke up. But by September, she has spent all the money that she got from the insurance. She has spent all of it by September. She was back down to like $800 in her account, I think they said. Because she was in such debt. At the time of his death, so the day after he died, she closed on the Midway Mansion, which was like a $2.9 million buy. Plus, she had other properties that she owned that she was trying to flip. The financial expert said that she had $6.8 million or so worth of property and investments. And the reality is that she owed, though, $8.9 million. So she owed way more than what the houses were worth. She foreclosed on a bunch of those properties. She tried to pay off and dig her way out of most of the debt that she was in. But she never really had any money in her accounts. Whenever she would sell one property, she would use that money to pay off all the debt that she was already in. So she was like always working from behind. She never really was up on anything. And she owned this one property, and we're getting ready to hear the testimony of her best friend, Chelsea Barney. She owned a property that they mentioned when the financial expert was on the stand, which they called the Barney house because Chelsea lived there. Chelsea Barney lived there. She sold the house to her best friend. She took a $45,000 down payment from the friend and told her that it was going to be financed by this loan company. The loan company actually was Kouri. She took the $45,000 and she put it toward some of her debt. And she never recorded the deed of the property. So Chelsea never owned that house. She lived in it for years, was paying the mortgage. And once Kouri got arrested, she sold that lady's house in lieu of foreclosure. And the lady, her husband, and her kids got evicted from her house. And we're going to listen to her tell us this story. Oh, such and such. That old such and such. We about to hear her talk about this thing because this is just awful. Like, can you imagine? I trusted you, lady, and you do this. We not friends no more. I can guarantee you that. We is not friends.
Thanks, Tracy. Please proceed, Mr. Glover.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am. What, ma'am, is your name?
Chelsea Barney.
Is your last name spelled B-A-R-N-E-Y?
Yes.
Do you know Kouri Richins?
I do.
How do you know her?
We've been friends for about 20 years.
When did you first meet?
9th grade. Junior high school.
And have you stayed friends that whole time?
Yes.
How often do you speak, or did you speak with Kouri Richins?
All the time. Well, sometimes every day, sometimes every other. I mean, all the time.
How often would you see her?
Couple times a week. When we got busy with kids, sometimes once a month. It just kind of depends on schedule at that time.
Would you travel together?
Yeah, I traveled sometimes with her, yeah.
Did you consider her your best friend?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the fact that the defendant obtained a $250,000 home equity line of credit on the home that she lived in?
Yes.
When did you learn of that?
We were on a vacation to Sun Valley, and she had told me about it.
Who were you on that vacation with?
Some of our other friends.
Was that vacation in October of 2020?
Yes.
Maybe the first weekend of October of 2020?
Yes.
What, if anything, did the defendant say about that?
She had said that Eric was mad at her and had turned off her credit cards because he found out she took a loan out on the house, and asked if we could pay for the trip, and she would reimburse us when she could.
Going to trip and then be like, by the way,
Did Kouri Richins say what she did with that $250,000?
She used it to buy a house to flip and sell.
Scott, can we get 2-2D, please?
no, none of her friends thought she did anything wrong with
Ma'am, Scott's going to scroll through it, and I'm going to ask you if you recognize it, okay?
Okay.
like, I'm floored that not one of her friends said, girl, you know that's wrong. Not one of them. You go get your money too. I would like to think that even if the house belonged to me and my husband, both of our names are on it. We both pay the mortgage. I did something like this behind my husband's back. I cannot think of one of my girlfriends that would be like, you ain't got to ask him. All of my friends would be like, girl, are you crazy?
Right. That's odd.
You sure there's not that one gold digger friend of yours?
I honestly don't have any friends that do not get you together if you are wrong about it. I don't have one friend that would be like, well, no, okay, wait, I do. I have one friend that would be like, oh, she all for the friend. I do have that one friend that's rah, what we doing? She all for the friend. And even her, she will go with me and be like, let's flat the tires, let's do all the things. And when we done, she'll be like, girl, you got me out here acting crazy. You know you shouldn't have did that. Like, she would ride with me, but also still tell me you're wrong. Like, I don't have any friends that would not say you're wrong. And I thought the whole time I'm listening to all these friends of hers testify to knowing about this, I didn't realize that Kouri waived her right to testify at her own trial. Yes, most defendants waive their right to testify. Most defendants in murder trials do not testify. Most of them do not, unless they are the only person they feel like, they Brendan Banfield and think they can go up there and sway a jury and then end up, being found guilty on everything because he testified. This probably was the best move actually for the defense. Go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say, did it seem like in the beginning when her friend first came up there and talking about the relationship and things, it seemed like she almost had a little glimmer of like, oh my gosh, that's my friend. Like, and then as soon as she started saying yes to the things, yeah, she's going to go ahead and testify as if she wouldn't, to the whole truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got this face. She got stank face again. But initially it seemed like she was almost even a little teary, it seemed like.
I think that these two friends really loved each other, and they had been friends since junior high school, and they probably don't, speak I would imagine they don't speak anymore and
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen each other in a while. So in that case, I think it would be emotional regardless, right? And then
Right.
if Kouri has a heart at all, which I honestly haven't seen that. I haven't seen her be very emotional at all during this trial. Um, when they played the 911 call, she didn't get choked up. I just haven't seen much emotion except sarcasm from her during this entire trial. This was the most emotion. She wasn't emotional when Josh was on the stand. She seemed pleased with herself, with how she had affected him. This is the most emotion I've seen her have on the stand. And I believe because at some point she probably really and truly they probably were really great friends. And I honestly believe that Kouri got herself in so much financial distress that she was willing to sacrifice anything and anybody, including this friendship and especially Eric.
Right.
But that's what I really think, that it was this financial distress that was her undoing. I don't think like I don't think that before she was like, I don't think she married this man like one day I'm just gonna unalive him and get all the money. I don't think that. I think after she had dug herself in such a deep hole, she didn't know how to get out of it, and
Mm-hmm.
looked at his death as her only way out. And that's really unfortunate, but that's just what I think based off of everything that I've heard. And there's a lot of people that loved her, right? So she couldn't have always been awful. She's just awful now, but right, so I am not going to play Chelsea's entire um testimony, but she knew about the line of credit and she was really on Kouri's side with that. She thought that Eric was overreacting, but also because she only knew Kouri's side. Kouri told her that she had paid off that loan in a few months, and it was absolutely not true. In fact, she never paid it off. She owed
Wow.
more on it today than she did back then. Okay, so he told her that she had paid it off, and so she felt like, so Chelsea felt like, well, then it was a good thing that you did if you paid it off. James says,
Yeah.
more money, more problems. Now he gotta go, and I kind of feel like that's exactly what the space she put herself in. Chelsea also knew that Eric, in response to this, cut off her credit cards, took her off the account, some of the accounts and things like that. I don't think she knew about the trust because I don't think Kouri knew about the trust. Because on the day or the morning after Eric's passing, she had hired a locksmith to come out to get into the safe in Eric's office. And his sister was walking out of the house and saw the locksmith's truck and went running back in the house and was like, "You cannot get in that safe." And she called the police, and it was a whole thing. They did not want her in that safe. And the police then called Crystal Bowman Carter so that she could explain to Kouri that everything is in a trust. It ain't your money. I think they was afraid of her getting her hands on the will and the trust documents, because well, they didn't trust her. She would destroy them, alter them, something. Um, Mandy says she didn't even wait. Girl, she had time to wait. She needed that money because she was closing on the house. She was closing on the Midway Mansion the day after Eric's death. Eric passed March 4th. She closed on the Midway Mansion March 5th. She needed that money. She needed that money. So she had to go start get her ducks in a row. The other thing that Chelsea testifies to is that Kouri told her that she and Eric had a drink the night of his death. And that is the reason why the prosecution believes that he was poisoned through that drink. They had that drink and he went right to bed and died. So they believe that drink was poisoned. The defense has asked every cop that was up there if they tested any of the cups in the house, did they find any residue of fentanyl? And of course they didn't test it because they thought they were coming there on a simple death investigation. Just somebody passed in their house and they was just coming to see if it was natural causes and pronounce them, basically. And then they find out, oh dang, she might have took them out. Most of the cops, unfortunately, were rookies or hadn't ever conducted an investigation of this magnitude. So you have that issue.
So Tam,
Mhm.
when you say that though, I mean, how old was he again? I mean, how is it that you don't even look at that? I mean, not that you can't die of natural causes at whatever his age was, but that just seems weird also.
So when they were there on the scene, they asked Kouri all those questions. Is he on any
Mhm.
medication? Does he have any health problems? This, and this. So one of the things that they testified to is that he had Lyme disease some years
Okay.
past and was still suffering with some residual effects of that. That he had a lot of pain on and off because of it, and that he occasionally would take meds for that. But she said he never took any hard drugs. The some of the medication that he was originally prescribed for it, he didn't even complete those bottles. Like he still had medicine in the cabinet from years ago, that kind of thing. She said, no, he doesn't do any of this. They asked if he took any illicit street drugs. She said no, except THC. We have gummies every once in a while. Um, thank you, Mandy. And so I think they did ask the questions. He had a hydrocodone pill bottle in the house that they sent to the medical examiner with his body. And the medical examiner threw the daggone bottle away, child, before they got a chance to test it.
Oh, what? Oh my gosh.
It was so many mistakes. And
Oh my
again, it
gosh.
just seemed like a bunch of Keystone cops. It seemed like a small town where they don't have a lot of this kind of thing happening. And so most of the cops were rookies and the rest were from Boston PD. The TV show, Jay?
That's what I was laughing at. they
Oh, thank
They
you,
came
man.
from Karen's.
Thank you, Mandy. So listen, all in all, this lady almost got away with this thing. They investigated her for over a year before they arrested her. And really, for real, it's the push of his family, the insistence of his family that she had to have something to do with this. My brother told me if anything happens to him, it's her. And so y'all got to look at her. And so they had hired, when she sued the trust a couple of weeks after his death, and the sister, Kouri Richins, who is the executor of the trust, she sued them, and because of that, she could thank herself too for this loss, this case right now, this trial, because once she sued them, it started a trickle down effect. She sued them, and then they hired a private investigator. And baby, he is a time. That private investigator, yeah, they weren't ready for him. They was not ready for the private investigator, baby. Private investigator got on that stand and he slow walked everything. And I loved it.
Oh, wow.
They would ask him a question and he would sit there for a second. And then he would say, well, and then he would start answering. He never answered quickly. He never got off topic. He didn't allow them to get off topic. If they tried to veer off, he'd be like, well, that's not the question you asked me. He knows this case file inside and out, and it is because of his investigation into the paperwork, following the money and all of that. It's because of his investigation that they were able to get enough evidence in a murder trial, because he was going to the house and looking through all the paperwork, all the finances. He was looking all around the house. He's the one he was finding things and then calling the police like, I found this thing. Y'all should get a warrant. And then they would get a warrant and then go back to the house. And then he'd let them do their thing. And then he'd go back over there and be like, oh, I found this thing. Y'all should get a warrant. And then they would get a warrant. And then they would go. He absolutely is the nail in the proverbial coffin for this lady. He was the one that found everything, and they tried to tear apart his testimony by saying that, Katie hired you and you were in the house alone, as if he was planting evidence or something. He was like, I was in the house alone with permission from Benson family to be there. You had a key. I did have. Didn't you take a laptop that belonged to Eric? He said, I absolutely didn't take a laptop that belonged to Eric. Well, we have video of you taking a laptop and putting it in your Tesla. And he said, I don't recall what you're talking about, but if you have a video, let's see it. And child, they started playing the video. And as I told you, Miss Nesta is always loud and wrong. They started playing the video, and he said, oh, that's my laptop. Remember, I told you that I was scanning documents on my laptop. That laptop belongs to me. She said, oh, okay, you can take that down.
Oh, no, lady.
It was just that kind of stuff all the time. But he was probably, him and Crystal Bowman Carter, those were my two favorite witnesses. Both pretty boring witnesses, but very thorough, very detailed, know their job, know how to be a witness on the stand, would not let her take them all around in circles and trip them up, because that's what she did to a lot of people on the stand. She was running circles around the prosecution. He didn't object to a lot of things that I felt was objectionable. And Then when he did object, he was stammering. He didn't know why he was objecting. It was just crazy. And she was misquoting the witnesses a lot. Didn't you just say da 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 da? And they would be like, yes, but that's absolutely not what they said. But that is in the jury's ear. So it was a lot of that going on. So for me, the best witnesses, like I said, was Crystal Bowman Carter, who we just saw, and the Mr. Gabler, who was the private investigator on this case. On day 13, the prosecution rested after calling the lead detective in this case, who this was his first lead on a murder case. And he had come from narcotics, so he had never investigated a death before. And it shows. Anyway, they had him up there. He didn't even testify well, child. He was terrible. And he sat in the courtroom for everybody's testimony, and he still did a terrible job. It was horrible. Terrible. I hope he learned something from this. He need to watch this case back and go watch some other cases, because I could have testified better to the information than he did. Good Lord.
But I will say, everybody has to have their first time as the lead investigator, right? But I mean, come on. You still prepare to go into court too, though.
That's my problem with him. He was wholly unprepared. He didn't seem like he knew this case well. And you know that this case is going to be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be doing anything but studying. And he ain't no jack diddly poop. So I was not impressed with him. Jack diddly poop. I was not impressed with him at all. I think if there is a failure in this case, it was absolutely him. And as you said, everybody has to have their first time. And unfortunately, his first time is one of the biggest cases of the year. And he looks like
ridiculous.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Bernie Fife.
I hope he has gone on from this and done better things, but the way he testified, I doubt it. Like you have time to prepare with the prosecution, and also I feel like this is the prosecution's fault, because you're supposed to prepare your witnesses.
Right.
Y'all should have been practicing. This is what they're probably going to ask you. You need to be prepared. What are you going to say for this? Y'all didn't get this information. How are you going to answer that? You need to know that. Like, I feel like, well, I probably should have led with this. The lead prosecutor in this case was just promoted to the head of the district attorney's office. So he might be a little unprepared too. Child, don't nobody know what they doing over there.
Prosecutor's office in Boston.
But none of these people are in Boston, this is Utah.
But they act like Boston school.
It might be like Boston Fire. What? Oh, is it Chicago Fire? Whatever it is. Anyway. The prosecution rested after the lead detective on the case. There was a bit of a conference after his testimony. Hold on, it looks like I lost my connection.
The YouTube connection?
Yeah. Okay. It said my connection to the chat was disconnected. If you're still in the chat, let me know, please. Okay. I apologize. I think I'm back. I hope you can message in the chat. I'm not seeing any new messages right now, but I don't know. Okay, so there was a conference, some legal arguments outside of the presence of the jury, and a little bit going back and forth, and then the prosecution announced that they would rest in front of the jury, that was the last witness that they were going to call. And some of the conversation was about the defense possibly wanting to call this particular witness. They wanted to ask, okay, Mandy said that they can hear and see me just fine. They wanted to get into a line of questioning about this particular witness or potential witness that had called the detective to try to give him some information that Eric had contacted him to purchase or get some fentanyl before. And they kind of got into it a little bit. Like, did you get a call about this? And he said, well, we did. We talked to him too. And he told us that you told him to call us. Why would you? But anyway, it was just crazy. So it was a lot of little things happening, behind the scenes with this particular witness and whether or not they were going to call him to the stand. And, the prosecution was like, well, if they do, then we'll probably have some rebuttal witnesses. And then he announces we're going to rest. And then they said, are you going to be prepared to put on your case starting in the morning? And they started whispering. They talked to Kouri. And then they said, we will rest as well. What? And so with that, they rested without putting on a case at all, which could be a good thing, because I personally feel like everything that the prosecution showed us was circumstantial. They did poke holes in a few things, and there could be a juror back there saying, I'm not convinced.
Well, I was just going to say, Tam, it could be a good thing, because who else were they going to bring on that was going to say anything, like who else did they have?
I don't know. It would have been a lot of hearsay, and a lot of hearsay is not allowed in. So I don't know what they would have said. And I don't think that Kouri would have been a good witness for herself. She's too smug. She has a potty mouth. Like her jail calls that they played, she did not seem like a grieving widow ever. When she called the medical examiner about that final report, she didn't sound like she had a woman who had just lost her husband a few months prior. So I don't think she would have done herself any favor. So it's probably for the best. Tomorrow they will charge the jury. They will do closing arguments. And that's also a big discussion. I'm going to just tell y'all this, and then we're going to wrap up. One of the attorneys that I follow, he said that a lot of times, in closings and in openings, the prosecution will start. So it's usually the prosecution starts, the defense goes, and then the prosecution goes last. It's kind of the defense is sandwiched in the middle. But the defense could also waive closing. And it's kind of a strategy, because most prosecutors will leave their best stuff for like the rebuttal to come back, the part 2, right? That's when they like slam the hammer. And if they do that and she doesn't put on a closing, then they can't get in that other stuff, right? So he was saying, I think the prosecutor should put their best stuff in in the beginning, because it is a chance that they might not say anything more, which would be an interesting strategy. I don't think they're that smart, though. I don't think so.
I was sitting here thinking when we were talking about them, not putting or resting as well. But I mean, even though she's kind of come across the defense has come across as whatever she's come across as, I don't know, there's multiple words that come to mind, but I mean, I could see where the juries could look at that two ways. It's either like, okay, A, you don't have anything else to like be like, aha, here it is, like it's not her. But I could also see where they could be like, okay, that's clearly sending a statement as well, because you are sitting here thinking you didn't give us enough to show that it's her. So, I mean, that'll be interesting, as you're saying, what they're going to do with those closing arguments then.
I can't wait to see what is going to happen. We're going to figure all of that out. It won't be me. Everybody relax. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen tomorrow. This has been a very interesting case. In that most of the evidence is circumstantial. They don't have anything physical, and it's mainly just about following the money. And a lot of cases are conducted this way. It's just that those usually aren't as juicy, you know. But it's really unfortunate that Eric. I wish that Eric had just simply told her that that there was a trust and she wasn't in charge, because this may have had a different outcome. If she knew she wasn't going to get the money, maybe she would not have unalived the man.
But he wasn't thinking that at the same time. So
yeah, I'm sure he didn't think that. Well, he did kind of think it. He mentioned it to his sister.
That's what I was just going to ask. Yeah. Go ahead, Lorenzo.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, he told his sister, he told anybody that would listen that he believed that she tried to poison him on Valentine's Day. And even though, like, to some people, like her friends and stuff, he kind of said it in a joking way, once he actually passed 2 weeks later from a drug overdose, it started ringing off alarm bells like, okay, oh, wait. So maybe she really did. So one of the charges for her is the attempt that happened on Valentine's Day.
They can't prove that.
They cannot prove that. They have nothing to prove that. And I think
they can't prove this shit.
I think this is a easier get, I think, than the February the 14th thing, because they absolutely have no evidence of that. All they know is that he called a few people like, I am so sick, I might have to go to the hospital. And the only thing I had today was this sandwich that Kouri brought me. I think the lady tried to unalive me. And he did tell people that. But you can't even really get into that because it's hearsay.
So she said, let me try liquid this time. That solid sandwich didn't work.
She's like, this is absolutely ludicrous. I didn't do that. I don't know what to make of it. Maybe she didn't do it, but maybe it gave her an idea. And that's why she set out to get the drugs after that. I don't know. And the thing is we're never going to know. We're absolutely never going to know. Because she's never going to say, I did it. She'd be crazy. The one last thing I'm gonna tell y'all, and then we're gonna leave, is that while she was in jail, she wrote this letter, and they are calling it the walk the dog letter because that's how she ends it. But basically, she writes a letter to her mom, and that letter is outlining to her mother and brother what to tell the police, what to say when they get interviewed. You absolutely must say it this way, da 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 da. It's like a whole outline of how to handle their questioning.
Well, that
And,
people seem guilty.
and her cell got tossed, and they found the letter.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, um, Mandy says she's smart not to testify. Yeah. I don't think testifying would have done her any good. I don't think anything she could have done on that stand would have convinced people of what they're already convinced of. Like, they either believe she did it or they don't. Because I don't think her getting up there crying, because I heard the 911 call, and baby, it sounded so fake to me. And I heard a call where she was talking to his best friend on the phone. They're taking my house, and screaming like a banshee. She just seemed all about her. And I don't think she would have been able to get up there and convince people that she was this loving, caring woman, and she never would have done this. I just don't think that would have been good for her. So I think it's best that she didn't testify. And it's unfortunate that anybody that they probably would have called would have just been character witnesses, right? Like her mom, her brother, like people that would never turn on her. So I think they really didn't have much. So maybe that's why they just kept alluding to well, we might call these people, right? We didn't call nobody. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up because I know that you guys have something to do for your Sunday, and so do I. Yes, Lorenzo.
Are you able to end YouTube but keep this thing going with us for a second?
Yes.
Okay, do that, please.
Okay. So for you guys, remember, the world has never met another you. Go out and be great in it. Thank y'all so much for joining me for an hour and a half. So give yourself a gold star. Make sure that you like the live and share it out to others that might need to be here and might have a little crime junkiness in them. I'll see you guys in my next stream. Remember, the world has never met another you. Go out and be great in it. Bye-bye.